All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the MetroHacks plus Apping Club event today. It's great seeing you all here, and let's have a great event. And let's get started by having everyone turn on their camera if possible, so we can see each other. So this event, we're going to have an in-depth analysis to increase your chances to have higher chances of success in hackathons. We're going to review past projects, like award-winning projects. And we're also going to talk about some tips and also experts' view on these topics. Hackathons are those competitions that people work in teams or individually, and to complete a certain prompt. And usually these hackathons are around 24 hours or 48 hours to finish their products. Some might last longer. It depends on the size of the hackathon itself. And they will be presented to a panel of judges in which the ones that get selected will win some cash prizes or other prizes. My explanation is not that well. So let's have our advisor, our first guest speaker, Dr. Meng, to explain this in further detail. So Dr. Meng is a highly accomplished computer scientist and electrical engineer with PhD in electrical engineer, EE. And he's also a senior member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. And his expertise and commitment to excellence in this field have earned him recognition as this year, actually 2022, he was the MIT App Inventor First Teacher Excellence Award. And he has a passion for teaching and have a great amount of knowledge in this field. And of course, he's a great asset to our club, and he's a great advisor. So let's have him start talking.
All right, thank you, Tony, and welcome everyone. Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Oh, I have the privilege. Okay, let me share my screen. I have a couple of slides to share with you so that you can get a better information. So, okay, so I hope you can see it.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, I'm gonna give a short presentation. Well, essentially, the title is Win Hackathons in 2023. So that means, yes, we're gonna participate in the competition and we need to target to win. All right, so as far as myself, thank you, Tony, for your introduction. So I'm gonna skip this one. But I will share this the slide set with you so that you can read afterwards. All right, so what is a hackathon? I think Tony gave a very good, a very good description, right? A brief but a great description. And why we're gonna take hackathon? So this is what we really wanna, I really wanna speak on it. Why? Because this is where we got inspiration from. Okay, and also I would like to recommend some of the hackathons that I know. I know there is a lot of good hackathon competitions over there, but there is some of them that I have got a chance to touch with, so that I can recommend to you guys. Okay, what is a hackathon? Just like Tony said, it is a programming competition. The purpose is essentially you're gonna prepare, you're gonna develop, you're gonna create some software. Well, sometimes it could be hardware combined together, but there is a deadline. Okay, what actually they're gonna challenge you? They're gonna challenge you 3 things. Number 1, ideation, which means you're gonna create an idea. Usually, a hackathon does not give you a specific problem. You don't solve that specific problem like some other, like mathematics, like some other algorithm competitions. But you're gonna create your own idea. You're gonna design it, and then you're gonna implement it. Okay, so the event usually can be open or closed, and it lasts, from the shortest one I know was 4 hours to probably 2 weeks. like a MIT Hackathon. It could be longer, could be shorter. So I know you're gonna have a lot of like award-winning projects to review, but I have put one example right over here. It is good as well. If you got a chance, read it. Just watch it. Watch the video after the meeting, so you have the resource. All right. So a cool thing is we use Facebook chat, right? That's a feature being used worldwide. And also, there is a lot of like a follow-up applications like a WeChat in Chinese version. So the idea was originally proposed by a hackathon. Okay, and also I was told the ChatGPT was originated with from a hackathon as well. But anyway, so right. So why should we win? Winning is not everything, but wanting to win is. This is very important. Okay. You know, hackathons aren't all about winning. There is something else you can get by participating in hackathons. They can be a fun way to meet like-minded people, right? Make friends. And it can be a place to learn and experiment with cool technologies like a ChatGPT. I thought you discussed this, right? And also, okay, so, but on the other side, if you are a competitor, just read on, okay? You can apply what you learn here, and you should be able to create impressive projects that are destined to win hackathon. That means we want to win. We want to win. We still want to win, okay? So why even design to win hackathons? If you don't win a hackathon, you leave a cool project on your belt and a fun experiment, which is perfectly okay to outcome. So if you don't win, that's okay. However, if you do want to win, if you do win, what you're gonna get? You got a cash award, number one, right? This is a very cool stuff. Okay, there is a lot of competitions over there. You probably got like a prizes, like places, right? First place, second place, third place, or certification. You don't get cash. Okay, hackathon is one of the few competition. I mean, are not many competitions you're gonna get a cash, and also you got a free members for cool account. For example, I don't want to tell you what kind of accounts are cool, but the cool means you feel it's cool. You got it for free, and you got a prizes like a drones, Raspberry Pis, and I'm not sure I spelled it right. I just because my son got a device you can watch like a virtual reality. That's a scope, right? So you can win a lot of cool stuff. And also, this is very important. Let me tell you one thing. You want to make friends, right? Okay, so you're going to create something you can talk with people. Kevin is like that. Kevin creates some cool stuff. He can start with discussing his cool creations with others. That help him to make a lot of friends. So this is very important. You're gonna create your own impressive story. Okay, so it is possible you got hired by some great companies. So a lot of times I see a couple of times when you are a winner, you are invited to join some team as an employee. So this happens. One of the things that I was surprised was Kevin got an invitation to join Lockheed Martin when he won it's called a Code Quest. That's a competition. That's a hackathon competition, right? So, and also, right, there is another thing, very, very important. You got to do that. If you are very good in hackathon, you are the winner, trying to train a lot of hackathon competitors, just like a Tony and Richard. I saw Richard here. Hi. All right. So yeah, you do need a bunch of like knowledges and skills. I listed on the left-hand side, and also on the right-hand side, I give you a real example. This is the scoring sheet that I used as a judger, hackathon judger. So essentially, you get different knowledges and skills on the left: programming, graphic design, interface design, project management, domain knowledge, and business mind. You're gonna need a business mind. However, the judge is not gonna look at in that way, but it's inclusive in another angle. Okay, the judge is gonna check your creativity, feasibility, and function, and user interface, user experience, right? Scalability and impact, and also some awesomeness. Remember this, awesomeness doesn't mean it's not something specific. Okay, if you can wow the judge, they're gonna give you extra point. So yeah, what you need to learn. Okay, this is my suggestion. Computer technologies include a lot of interesting things. What I see is I can give you a few, suggestion in a few area to start with. Number one, programming, of course. Number two, artificial intelligence, usually the computer vision and natural language processing. Okay, which all are related to what? To deep learning. If you heard about the deep learning, that's a recent development, recent advances in AI, right? In the past 10 years, probably. And also, another thing is algorithm. Okay, algorithm, computer, a lot of times you have the math, but it's really hard to implement. The computer is too slow to realize that. You need good algorithm to complete the tasks. And this is not the last, but the other one is internet technologies. What are they? It can include cloud computing, cloud storage, sensors, all different sensors, right? Like distance sensor, light sensors, magnetic field sensors, gyroscope, all kinds of sensors. That's something, right? And the GPS, global positioning system, an interactive map, and a navigation. All these, and AR, VR, virtual reality. So all these are the technologies you're gonna include in your hackathon. All right. So will that be hard? Let me tell you. I don't think it's hard. But let me review this sentence. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are hard. Okay, do it. If some people can do it, you can do it. Okay. If some people can win, you can win. Okay. All right. So yeah, some of the competitions my students participated in, I listed it over here. I'm not gonna read through them, but what I want to say is they are all very good hackathons, but they are not the only good hackathons. There were so many good hackathons. I want to name it CIE, SECC. It's called the Student Engineering and a Creativity Convention. That's a hackathon, okay, competition. The second I want to mention is there is a San Ramon hackathon. San Ramon hackathon, okay. Usually it is in June. Yeah, this is in June. And also MIT hackathon. This is hosted by MIT. Usually this is in second half of July. And what else? Yeah, there is a organization. It's called the Future Bridge. They have an AI and Innovation Summit. It is also a training and competition opportunity. Okay, and this is a big competition, and another big competition here is called it's called a Congressional App Challenge. This is hosted by the Congress, right? The U.S. Congress. It's in November, and this is a really good one. This is a growing, faster growing competition. It's called the MetroHacks. Okay, MetroHacks. This is a great one. And also we have some other things. Okay, so these are good ones. And also I think there is another one I want to say here. I don't see that list in this timeline sheet. There is another one. It's called the World Use AI Competition. Okay, it is in November. It's in November. So go get it. This is also a very good one. These are the ones that my students participated in, and I noticed there are a few other ones that I really want my students to chip in someday, and you guys. One is Hack MIT. This is hosted by MIT, and a Google one, Google Code Jam, and a Facebook Hacker Cup. And there is another one I just mentioned. I'm not sure whether you are located nearby, you have like a Lockheed Martin facility. Usually if you're in that city, they host it. It's called the Code Quest, okay? This is a global competition. Another one is HP, right? HP, they have a code wall. It's also very good. There is a great website over here. It's called the DevPost. You just go ahead and check it out. There is a lot of good competitions, including MetroHacks. All right. So yeah, I wanna end my address right with this sentence. It says, challenges are what will make life interesting. Okay, so we are human. Okay, we like challenges. Believe me, if you don't get a challenge, you feel boring, right? Well, so that makes challenges are what makes life interesting. Overcoming those challenges is what makes life meaningful. So that would be meaningful if you achieve something. Go challenge yourself. And back to the title, Win Hackathon in 2023. Right?
Great, thank you, Dr. Wang, for coming on today and giving us this informative lecture to all of our members and for supporting us. So a great shout out and thank you to you for doing that. Now let's get on with the event. So obviously in this event, we're going to talk about MetroHacks, right? Because we're collaborating with them this time. So obviously, what is MetroHacks? Well, it's like a beginner-friendly global 24-hour virtual hackathon that is hosted in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it is supported by a lot of sponsors, which includes Google and Ditto. If you look at their website on DevPost, this occurred last year in 2022. But I believe there will be another one in the similar time range for the year of 2023. Last year, they had 381 participants and over $100K in prizes. And as you can see over here, those are all their sponsors. And if you go onto this website, you can check out additional project galleries of all the projects that were submitted this event. And obviously the first ones, few are the winners. All right. But anyways, this is an amazing hackathon. Definitely recommend participating again next year too. Maybe we can get some more awards this time. But yeah. But anyways, for the general rubric, as Dr. Meng had mentioned previously, what they're looking for is obviously creativity, impact, technical difficulty, and execution, right? However, something else to think about is the judges do care about the independent thought that comes into this project, and also the depth of knowledge, how well you understand what you're doing, right? So if you're doing a natural language processing AI, right? You should be able to clearly explain what it is and how this influences your project and how to use it, right? And obviously what comes with it is clear reasoning and critical analysis, right? You need to tackle your problem that you're addressing in your project with a critical view too. And obviously hackathons are like imbued with a sense of business, right? So you need to have like good persuasive styles when you're presenting your project. It's like selling a product, right? So as hackathons is kind of also similar to like business competitions, which you guys can also try out too, because like projects we make for hackathons, you can also basically submit similar projects to business competitions too. But anyways, the general rubric is like what I just said, and you have to make sure like obviously your product executes well. But sometimes like for example, in the MetroHacks, we only had like 24 hours, right? So some products, they don't actually have to be like fully complete. It's mainly about the idea. And that's why the independent thinking and the creativity is like very important, because your idea has to have like a great impact on society. Say if like the project you make doesn't really affect that much, right? It only affects like a small like community, then it wouldn't really have a great impact. And what you want is to have like the greater impact and for the general public's good, right? So that's something to consider. Now we're going to get to like the example projects that we're going to walk through. And let's have our one of our officers, Victoria, to start us off.
Would you mind sharing the slides again, just so everyone could see?
Yep.
All right, so Diagnose Tech is a web application for physicians and patients. Their components is a comprehensive machine learning model. It's user-friendly with a UI design. For the physician side, it intakes the name of a drug the doctor wants to prescribe, and it runs the drugs through the ML model to identify the most likely side effects given a patient's past medical history. The patient, in return, what the app does for it, it creates a list for prescriptions from different doctors and analyzes possible side effects from these combined drugs. It's also a personalized service for the physicians based on their medical history.
Diagnose Tech app, what's special about it and what's like really interesting these days is that they use machine learning, or also known as AI, right? So obviously we all know that AI is like the hot topic right now. So therefore, if you can use any type of AI, even if it's not that good, or if it's like pre-built AI, right? Like for example, YOLO V5. If you use AI in your app, even if it doesn't do that much, when like judges they see AI, they feel excited, you know? So try to incorporate AI into your thing. And obviously, something else you can consider, as said over here, it has like good UI design. UI design is like very important because it allows the users to obviously like, you know, interact with the app easier, right? If your app looks like really bad, then that will give like a bad first impression to the judges. And you want to give like the judges like a good first impression. Therefore, you have to make sure the app looks like professional or creative based off of like what you're making, right? And in here, there's like a medical app. So looking professional will be great. And as you can see here, it does look pretty professional. And obviously, in this app, it allows like, it analyzes the side effect of these drugs and it personalizes the service, which is something that doesn't really exist right now with like electronically. And that's what's like, that's why they won, right? Because it's innovative. The idea is new. And that's something very important. Because like if your idea is new, then it's very easy for you to appear like, you know, more brighter compared to other projects. If your project is like based off of a previous idea, you have to work really hard to make it so you like branch a lot off from that original branch idea. But now moving on to the second project, which is Zen2. All right, but now let's give it up for Richard.
All right, so essentially what ZenTube is, it's an application that you use. So you put in a YouTube link or something. And then what essentially it lets you do is it gives you a big summary. That's the first thing. It gives you some key points. It gives you sentiment analysis. So whether it's talking about positive or negative, and it allows you to ask some questions about the video. So essentially, this just lets you take all that time that you have to spend watching the video and lets you get it much faster. So even though that general concept seems pretty simple, the design behind it is fairly complicated. So you have a front end and the back end. To get the data, essentially, it queries the back end for the YouTube video. which converts into subtitles, which runs a language modeling AI. And then that essentially allows you to get the summary and key points, sentiment analysis, and ask questions about it. So the main thing about this, however, is why did this win? So for one, as Tony said before, you have the AI buzzword, all right? Judges see the word AI, they see words, language, natural language processing, they see that stuff, and then they get really excited, and that bumps up the coolness factor. But another thing about this one is that the UI design. So Tony, could you go on the previous slideshow and show a bit of the UI? All right, so if you look at this UI design, first of all, you'll notice a couple things. For one, it's fairly slick. It's very lean and there's nothing like bombarding your screen. But number two, the UI design is very intuitive. So if you look at it, you essentially know what everything does and you don't really have to have any tutorial or anything. That's very important for users. And then that bumps up your score on the judging categories. And then one more thing with the why it won is that it branches into a couple different fields. So this demonstrates a lot of skill because first of all, you incorporate web design because you have to build the front end, backend design because you have to build a backend server, API introduction. So that means you know how to introduce new APIs, libraries, and communicate with them. And then you also have, of course, the AI design. So you know how to use AI, train AIs, and then make it all work efficiently and combine it all together. So for this branches out into many different fields. And then this project essentially shows mastery of each one of them. And then once of all, the biggest thing is that this thing is very impactful. This has immediate application in people's lives. And then the judges know that and they can see that. They see it's very innovative. They see it's very special. So that bumps up their score as well.
Amazing review, Richard. Great job. So obviously, as he said, this basically it analyzes like a YouTube video, right? We know that basically almost everyone uses YouTube these days. So its impact is it's like immediate to a very wide range of global audience. Therefore, like making this project very good, right? All right, now moving on to our third and final project review. A project that have won in the 2022. And let's have Karthik start us off.
Yeah, so this project is it's basically like a chatbot that helps users get important healthcare information. So it's for the healthcare division in the hackathon. And basically it's the target market is for people who are not that tech savvy, so they're not that familiar with the technology, but they still want to get important professional help or emergency services. And so in this chatbot, basically you can just type in or even have a speech-to-text recognition system where you can just ask a question and then kind of like ChatGPT would just give you an answer, but this is specifically for health. And then it would essentially also give you links, so external links based on what you asked. And I think they also built a website, which if, maybe afterwards you can look at the slides, go over their dev post and find it, but they even created a website to explain how it works and everything. Now, obviously you don't have to create the website yourself if you're doing a project, but it just goes to show how much time and effort they put into their project. And at least from what I noticed, it's they obviously use a lot of different coding libraries and APIs to build it. So obviously it is very tech oriented and they have developed a lot in that sense, but it's also extremely customer friendly. There's like the screenshot in the bottom right of your screen. And so yeah, they basically try to make it so that you don't necessarily have to learn a lot to use a product. It just basically anyone can use it. And so they also thought about the business aspect of it.
Yeah, definitely. And in this project, as we can see, it's great explained by Karthik. But also another thing I had to realize is that during this time, ChatGPT was not released. This event happened in November. ChatGPT released after November, meaning they used NLP languages without taking data from the GPT model, like the open source ChatGPT model. They basically almost self-made their GPT-3 model. Maybe they use a little bit of OpenAI stuff, but at that time it was like in their early testing, right? Because at that time, ChatGPT wasn't released. So that just to show how amazing and how well they incorporated AI into their app. And obviously when judges, they see that, it's very innovative, it's very technical, and it's very like good, right? So obviously what we can draw from like looking at these projects is that you have to make sure you have like a really good idea. It's very innovative. So the idea can like, when like the people see it, they can be like, wow, this is so good, right? So new. So that's like a very important part of it. And another thing to realize is that like in these hackathons, we only have 24 hours. And so a lot of people, they might not be able to finish, right? So that's why the idea is so important. And another thing is like some hackathons, they're literally not even called hackathons, they're called ideathons. You don't even submit projects, you just submit an idea. So this goes to show how important idea is to a product. It's like you have to make sure you have great teams, right? And since we're all in Apping Club, this is a great resource because we can like team up in the future to like create teams within people we know in this community. So we can have like great teams to enter competitions together. Also, another thing is like product development, right? Product development, you have to make sure you have like some will finished projects. And a tip is to honestly just have like a arsenal of projects at your disposal, because a lot of people, there's no way they can finish what they have made in 24 hours. Think about, you have to consider like the video editing that goes to it. Just video editing may take up to like 24 hours, honestly. You know, it can take very long. So video editing, product, UI design, front end, back end, all those stuff, right? That's a lot of time. So I bet that most of the people that we show like the projects, they probably made like at least a rough draft of what they have made previously, and then they went to the competition and they edited it, they tweaked it. And obviously we're all here to trying to win, right? So we have to be smart. We should create some like products for different categories, and when we go into hackathons, we just tweak it based off of their prompt and theme so we can win, right? And obviously fourth, the most important one, frequency, right? If you want to win hackathon, guess what? You have to enter more. The more hackathon you enter, the more likely you're gonna win, right? Because no one can ensure they're gonna win every single time in a hackathon. Like there's no way. Even for like a very, very like good product, like the ones we have showed previously, do you think they can win every hackathon they go to? No. So it's very important to make sure you go to as many hackathons as possible. We have free time, and then just like keep submitting, you know, keep submitting, keep trying. And every single time you can learn experiences and then see what you did wrong and how you can improve. Like when me and Richard first did hackathons, we won nothing. Like our product sucks, honestly, it sucked, okay? Like our UI design sucked, our video sucked, everything sucked. But from entering so many hackathons, we improved and honed and refined our skills. So now we have like a general idea of how to be somewhat successful in these kind of hackathons. And now moving on to our brain dump stage. So obviously, as I said, idea is basically the most important part of a hackathon. So you have to generate like something you have to consider is that like maybe every week, right? Every week after every week, you think about the problems you have encountered in that week, and maybe just jot it down, because you never know, you might forget, right? Just jot down like those ideas, and then once after like a while, maybe a few months, and you look back on it, you have all these ideas that you can use from all kind of competitions, not even just hackathons, ISF, science fair, business competition, whatever, right? Because all these competitions, what's like it's at its core is your idea. How do we have idea, right? How do we have idea? Ideas come from problems, because we have to target and solve these problems. And therefore, it's important for us to generate and have as many. Like right now, if I tell you to think about like a really good product for like a specific problem, like basically if education, right? Can you think of any? Maybe, but most likely not. So it's important to consider and just like as like a daily or general routine, like after every week, jot down some problems you have encountered in the week, and then therefore you have like an arsenal of ideas in addition to your arsenal of products. But let's try something right now. But anyways, those are all great ideas, considering you guys only have like 5 minutes to think about it. But anyways, let's move on to our next part. guest speaker number 2, Anthony Wang. Anthony is like a very good high school senior, and he's like one of the executives, staffs at MetroHacks, and his passion for coding took root from 10th grade. And since then, he has gone to participate in many hackathons, 7, and even co-hosted 2 with ASRX. He's a full stack developer and particularly does back-end development. He incorporates like cutting edge technology such as machine learning and computer vision into his hackathon projects. All right, now let's have Anthony take the stage from here.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right, let me get my presentation shared. Okay, can you guys see this? Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so my presentation is hackathons, why and how. All right, so first thing, I just want to start this off with a complaint I commonly see from people who I suggest they should do hackathons. People always say, I don't know how to code. Well, the thing is, you really don't need to know how to code too well when you're getting started in hackathons. In fact, because the main reason why is because every hackathon is a learning experience, all right? So when I first got started doing hackathons, I pretty much had like no clue how to do any web development. I mean, I had a little bit of previous coding experience, but no knowledge of web development, how like HTTPS works and whatever. And so my team and I, ASRX, we went into this hackathon. We had an idea and we tried some random stuff with mobile development, but we simply couldn't understand it. And we ended up just switching to this basic HTML page and some basic, I think, Google Cloud backend API. And you know what? We actually won $100. And from that hackathon, we learned a lot of things. We learned like how difficult mobile development is, like basic HTML development, how to use Google Cloud SDK, and how to present your project. So there's a lot of valuable skills that you learn. And the idea is that even if you don't know how to do anything, you should optimize for, I guess I can go to the next slide for that. You have to learn, right? So when we went to that hackathon, yeah, we wanted to win, but what I realized more was that, yeah, we did win $100, but what we learned was far more valuable than $100. We learned like a bit of REST API, we learned backend, we learned front end, and most important of all, I would say, is presentation skills. We learned how to pitch our project to judges, and also we learned to work together. So winning is a nice motivation to do hackathons, but for me personally, I feel like learning is a very important motivation because these skills are transferable to like any job you want to do in the future, as to do with web development. If you're working on back end, front end, you'll learn all these necessary frameworks for working on the front end and back end, and just having a deeper comprehension of how the internet works. Like you may not know that whenever you like open a website, there are like tons of REST API requests made to the backend server. So it's just a lot of things you can learn from working at hackathons. And of course, winning is also nice. Like I think we've won as part of ASRX, we've won like maybe around $1,000 in prizes. I don't know, I haven't kept track, but when you win, you get all these nice prizes. Yeah. All right, and then next, finding a good team. So for me, my teammates came from friends I knew in real life that just wanted to do hackathons, and we all started out like quite inexperienced. So it's okay if you and your friends are like don't know much about coding. If you are sufficiently motivated to learn and improve and attend however many hackathons it takes to perform well, then you and your friends can start a team and go participate in hackathons. So it's really nice to have your friends as a support group to help you participate in hackathons and win them. And also, you might not have like that many friends IRL that are willing to participate in hackathons. So then you can also meet people online that also do hackathons or are interested in doing web development or any other sort of coding. you don't necessarily have to be good at web development. For example, you can focus on machine learning and work on the back end. That's what I did at the start. I had a decent machine learning background and I focused on the back end part. So you just want people with a diverse set of skills to join your hackathon team. And also, if you want, you can like find a sibling with more experience to help guide you on your hackathon experience. But yeah, so finding a good team is important. And I'll talk a little bit more about how you and your team can work together in later slides. All right, so methodology. I guess this is just like a quick chart for like how you should approach things, just based off of my personal experience. So a lot of times if you're high school, you're probably really busy with other things, and some hackathons may be like close to, I don't know, your finals week or whatever. But anyways, if you're busy, then come up with an idea and just YOLO it, because you'll learn that if you work together with your team in 24 hours, it's an incredible learning experience. You guys will learn at a rate that you've learn and produce at a rate that you could barely ever dream of. But yeah, doing hackathons is really beneficial because you'll realize all that you can accomplish in just 24 hours. So if you're busy, come up with an idea, preferably just brainstorm some idea like a week or so, or like 3 days ahead of the event. And then at the event, just YOLO it. And if you have plenty of time to prepare, then you should learn the frameworks, the basic of web development, how REST APIs work, and I don't know, attend events like these to learn more. And if you are experienced, you have decent experience with web development, then do some deeper research into and like examine winning projects and how they won. And I guess, as the previous presenter said, having good ideas is also really important. So you want to research ideas, research frameworks, tech stacks, and like how people do things in industry. What other things you can research? You can also take a look at professional pitch decks. So one of the things we based off our pitch decks off of was I think it was the original Uber pitch deck that got them into the industry and got them investors money. And it's a quick tangent, but I would like to say that the presentation part of doing hackathons is really important, because a lot of these skills that you learn from hackathons can be applied to like pitching for startups. If you ever want to do that stuff in the future, the pitch skill is really important. And just pitching to judges and selling your product, these are all things you should learn if you want to do something like go into startups in the future. So yeah. All right, and then into judging. So I have quite a lot to say about this, but yeah. On the surface level, we look for creativity, impact, technical difficulty, and execution. So I'll just quickly go through these. So creativity, it's both original and solves a unique problem. In general, that means if you just create some app that other people have probably made, such as like some app that helps people with volunteering, it sounds pretty generic, and there's probably someone else that's already made another version. But if you integrate some novel technology such as ChatGPT or GPT-3 in a novel method and present it with a twist, such as applied to the medical field, it's a bit more unique, but but AI is also like done pretty often in projects. So you want to be careful and just try to be creative as possible without sounding like cliche, I guess. So yeah, creativity is one aspect that we judge on. Impact. So impact, this is kind of a tough one because you have to demonstrate that your project demonstrates the potential to create a significant difference in education or health. And regarding this one, you just have to think about this in the brainstorming process. So are there existing solutions that are similar to yours, and how is yours different from theirs? And what kind of potential impacts do you have? And I think your presentation can also go into the impact and talk about the potential for your product's impact. And you can give examples of how this could impact your judges' daily life or just anything. Yeah, but impact is pretty open-ended, I guess, but just make sure you at least think about impact. All right, technical difficulty. This is a category that personally, I as a technical judge like to focus on. So in order to address technical difficulty, you need to first understand REST API and just like the tech stack. So technical difficulty, the project incorporates multiple languages and makes use of several high-level programming techniques. And as you work on more and more projects, you'll learn more and more of the tech stack. I think when we got started, we did have a backend, but it was a very simple backend, and we used like Flask. But there are all these things that you'll begin to use more and more. Like we didn't have a database or infrastructure or services. When we started out, we only basically just focused on the clients. But as you work more and more, you'll learn to figure out how to host things like on AWS or Azure, and you learn how to work with backends like Node or Fast API, whatever language you prefer, and then you'll learn React for the web or React Native or frameworks like that for the client side. And yeah, so this is where your tech stack comes into play. Your tech stack, ideally you should have on your presentation a diagram of your tech stack. So you can have like an arrow chart pointing from your front end to your back end, and your back end to some external service such as GPT-3 or some hosted database. And you can also have that all hosted on Nginx and served for using AWS or something like that. So you should ideally have a diagram of how your product works so your judges can understand how your entire project works. And the execution. So as me as a judge, I really like to see a working demo. So you should have a working demo on your like dev post page so the judges can interact with it, and a demo video and which participants could use a slideshow to describe elements within the submission and a detailed dev post page. And along just added tips on execution in general, like how you should work with your team. You guys should get together in some Discord call or Slack, or preferably in real life if possible. So I know me and my team, we started out online and we discovered much more productivity within our team when we all came to my house and worked together for 24 hours. So working in real life, you'll be productive beyond your dreams if this is done right. You'll be able to produce so much time in a group of, I don't know, like 4 people, and you're likely to like get a little sleep, but that's the spirit of hackathons. You know, you want to grind for 24 hours, push out the best product possible, and make a really nice video. And that's the other point I want to touch on for execution. You want to have a really nice video in your presentation. I guess this also goes into my judging side, so I'll talk about that. So judges will always have different tastes. There will be some relatively lay judges, some very technical judges who've done hackathon themselves. And sometimes you can go into the judges and take a look at what they do to evaluate like what their preferences might be. But I can give you the perspective of what I really enjoy seeing in projects. So I'm a very technical judge. And the one thing I would say is do not plagiarize. There have been multiple instances of plagiarism and like people just using code without attributing or like deleting the attribution from their code. So do not plagiarize. It will definitely get you disqualified, and do not cheat. So unfortunately, this happens in hackathons. Like I've seen a project where someone claimed to use machine learning, but they just called a random number generator as to like represent their machine learning outputs. So if you have a technical judge like me, don't cheat or plagiarize because you're likely to get caught. And the judges, for me as a judge, if we're suspicious, then we will definitely ask you for your code on GitHub, and we'll carefully evaluate the code you contributed. So if we can like find your code online or catch something with your code that indicates that you cheat, then you'll be disqualified. But on the other hand, if you have really well-written code like really clean React or some backend code that's really complex, then we will appreciate your code. And I know for our team, we did stuff with like GPT-3, and honestly, GPT-3 is like pretty simple to work with, but you can also go into like prompt engineering, and we'll consider that into the quality of the code you contribute. So we judge not just the end product, but also the internal components. The internal components are very important, and well, personally for me, it's important in my consideration. But the other thing is, I also appreciate aesthetics. I like when a project looks good, when there's some beautiful modern UI. I'll give you points for having a good aesthetic. And to that point, I think having good aesthetics, the judges will be a little bit more lax on using outside contributions. Like go online and find templates, but make sure to give credit and attribution to whatever you find, because that's really important. You don't plagiarize. And yeah, so other judges may appreciate different things like buzzwords, but you'd have to, I mean, it's really just what do you call it? It's really just it's a learned skill to kind of feel what your judges like by looking at previous hackathons that your judges or hosters have evaluated and seeing what they like. The last thing I feel that is in common within all judges is liking good videos and presentations. So earlier they presented Zen2, right? And that presentation blew our judging team away. And the product itself, like it had decent technical merit, but one of the biggest things attracting us to the project was simply the presentation on Zen2. And I think all judges will love good videos and presentations, and it takes time. You have to learn how to like edit videos and work with your team. For us, it usually takes like 2 to 3 hours to make a solid video. And honestly, I think our team's videos as ASRX, they could have been better, but it's very nice. So going back to like the you don't need to code part, you can get someone on board who's good at video editing, and that could single-handedly boost your presentation up. So in your presentation, you should address all the judging criteria, as well as your code and how impactful and how novel and how useful your project will be. That should all go in your video or presentation. It's really important for the judges to know, because the judges are going through hundreds of projects or potentially hundreds of projects, and they need to see a really good video. It gives a really good impression on them and boosts you up. So videos and presentations, that's really important. And then last thing, tech stack. So as a technical judge, I like seeing a tech stack. It's just like a diagram showing what front-end framework you use, like JavaScript, React, HTML, CSS, whatever, what backend you use, Python, Flask, Fast API, using Google host. Like if you want to host on Google Colab, you can put that. That's what we did for a while. And we also use ngrok. So yeah, you can use all these things, and they'll help your judging. All right. Final tips. These are just a few tips that I've collected through my years of doing hackathons. Don't make a login page. I've seen people do a login page, and it's honestly a waste of time and it contributes nothing. Just make, I guess, minimum viable product. Keep things as simple as possible. It's a product demo, right? You want to show the judges that there's a potential for impact. Not that like your product will immediately go out and impact millions of people, but if you have a good idea and a good execution, then and keep things as simple as possible, then it'll show the judges that there's lots of potential. And also start early. For ASRX, we usually had an idea finalized like 3 days ahead of the event, and maybe we like storyboarded a few things out on Microsoft Whiteboard. And I think we started thinking about ideas like 2 or 1 week ahead of the hackathons that we attended. So yeah, plan your idea. And I guess like for me, I just keep random ideas stored in a file on Apple Notes. Make sure just have good ideas. It's a really important part of the hackathon process. And yeah, last thing, mindset. Your mindset going to hackathon, yes, you want to win, but you shouldn't always have winning as your first goal, because you will lose. So our team, we won our first hackathon. I don't remember if we won our second hackathon, but we lost like 3 or 4 hackathons in a row. Like we didn't get anything from it. And yeah, we were disappointed, but along the way, we had a lot of fun working with each other, learning to present, making presentations, making friends with other hackers. And it was a lot of fun, like pulling all-nighters with my team and screwing around in Discord and having fun. So yeah, this should be the mindset that you have going into a hackathon. And yeah, that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chats. I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you so much for like coming today and presenting.
Yep.
It was a fantastic presentation. And I love how you like took us to the perspective of like the learning process to like
Yep.
a hackathon. Like, yeah, I agree. Like in a hackathon, it's not just about winning, it's about how you can improve yourself. And I believe like achieving that self-improvement is a core part of like participating in any type of competitions, right?
All right. I guess we're gonna wait a minute. Anyone who's listening, if you have any questions, please put them in chat. I'd be happy to answer. Let's just wait a minute, see if there's any questions that come in.
Yeah.
All right, I guess there's no questions, so I'll pass it off to you if you have any other closing remarks.
Yeah. All right. Once again, thank you for being here though.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Richard, so would you mind showing some of like the actual codes? Yo.
All right, so I'm just going to do a quick demonstration of what MIT App Inventor code looks like versus like when people think of code normally like the written text form and like the primary differences and why you might choose one over the other. So first of all, this is the way MIT App Inventor is. You guys all know. You have Designer, which has all your UI front end, and then your Blocks, which has all your UI backend. These are 2 different projects. So I have one VS Code, which is one using actual text coding, the other one's block code. And then your Blocks essentially contains all of usually your backend logic or front-end components logic. So first of all, if we look at the text code for this other project, we look at all this. Sometimes if you don't know the whole language, all that stuff, you pretty much can't understand any of this. If you go into here, none of this is understandable. This is essentially the equivalent to the block code. And then this is the essential equivalent to the components. So you look at this versus this. First of all, you see one major benefit of MIT App Inventor, which is your designer essentially works just like Blocks, which is very useful for intuitive UI design. You can, instead of seeing just like a bunch of code like this, and then having to constantly change it and then look at it and then update it like that. For MIT App Inventor, you just have all of your UI in here. You know how it all looks like, and it has a bunch of pre-built components that allow you to make things fairly easily. While if you're writing out code like this, even though it's sometimes faster if you just want to grind some stuff out, it's a bit harder to understand if you don't know it all. And if you go to the block section, see another thing, which is that if you look at all this, this is essentially all written out in plain English. So if you look at all this and you understand just the general data structures of like dictionaries, text, lists, then you can probably get a very good understanding of the way the app works. However, in comparison, if you have something like this, which is using TypeScript, you see something like this and you're just bombarded with text and sometimes you don't really understand what it all does. So the main benefits of using MIT App Inventor are that it has very good intuitive sense, so you can learn it very quickly. And you can still build fairly powerful things, like this uses an AI built in MIT App Inventor. And then the main reason why people use text coding other than instead of MIT App Inventor is that when you're making massive projects like this has like a bunch of files, then essentially your code gets fairly complex. With MIT App Inventor, you have like a bunch of blocks and sometimes it'd be a bit laggy. So that's pretty much the primary reason why people do this is for production ready code. But because we're focusing on making apps and like hackathons and that sort of stuff, fostering developing ideas and just like getting stuff out, MIT App Inventor is a very good platform for that.
Thank you for everyone being here today and being part of this event. I hope this event helped you and gave you a better understanding of hackathons and how to be like successful in it. And if you like what we're doing, feel free to like donate to us, as we are a 501c nonprofit organization. And yes, we will have a recording being sent out to our YouTube channel. And then scroll here, you can see the donation and sponsorship. So you can, I believe you can just scan this QR code and donate with it. But anyways, thank you for everyone being here. And I hope you all had a great event. And see you all in the next event. Actually, it's very soon, coming up in, I believe, 2 weeks, the Usico event. So see you all there, and I hope you guys have a good weekend. Bye, everyone.